My instincts are never wrong, Destro. Trust that, quote Cobra Commander. As tensions rise within G.I. Joe and fists fly, Cobra seeks out a dangerous new ally. Meanwhile, Clutch finds himself trapped deep in the Viper's nest as the Joes rally together to rescue Dr. Venom from Cobra's grasp. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe, issue 3 in the Energon Universe. When we last left off, the Joes and the Duke teams had failed in their mission to safeguard a piece of Cybertronian technology from falling into Cobra's hands. This advanced technology originating from the Transformers series has now been stolen by Cobra. The failure came at a devastating cost as G.I. Joe suffered the ultimate loss with the death of rock and roll. This was a crushing team failure. Having infiltrated Cobra headquarters in Springfield while disguised as Cobra Viper, Clutch searches for a way to contact the Joes. As one of the Viper's remarks, sounds like we're going back out again. Mercer's got something to prove now. Clutch grows increasingly worried. He thinks to himself, get your head on straight, Clutch. You've got this. First, find a way to get a word to Duke and the Joes. There's got to be some kind of communication hub around here that I can use. Clutch is stunned by the sheer size of the Cobra's hangar. Mercer, looking to vent his frustration on one of the Vipers, Mercer halts him. Get to work, Viper. Mercer snaps. Clutch quickly responds, I took one too many hits to the head in the fight with the G.I. Joes. Mercer narrows his eyes. We all took a few hits, but nobody on my team gets to stand around. Maybe you need better motivation, he says, pointing an energized gun directly at Clutch's head. Mercer seems to still have a bone to pick with Duke, owing to their first confrontation in Duke issue 1. Clutch is saved by the timely intervention of Destro, who arrives to brief Mercer and the assembled Vipers on the next phase of Cobra's plan, retrieving Dr. Archibald Monev, the creator of the Brainwave Scanner, from the protective custody before he testifies in front of Congress. Destro chastises Mercer. Don't take your frustrations out on your people. You allowed yourself to be identified. You've embarrassed yourself and me. Save your anger for Duke and his team. You'll have another chance to get your revenge on them. Continuing, Destro adds, we have the Energon and the Shard Cybertronian technology. Now, to complete the Commander's plans, we need the Brainwave Scanner. Its creator, Dr. Monev, has been in witness protection for months, but he is scheduled to testify before Congress today. You need to retrieve him before that happens. Mercer confidently replies, the Vipers and I got this, Destro, but I gotta ask, what the heck are you building now? Destro is about to explain the plan when Cobra Commander abruptly interjects. Hold on, Destro. Dr. Archibald Monev, better known as Dr. Venom, is the original Cobra mad scientist from the Marvel G.I. Joe, a real American hero comics. He and his invention, the Brainwave Scanner, first appeared in A Real American Hero issue 10. Cobra Commander says, we must be careful revealing our full plans when we have unwelcome guests among us. Destro asks, spy? Cobra Commander replies, an infiltrator. Destro is skeptical. Impossible. Cobra Commander asserts, my instincts are never wrong, Destro. Trust me, we are being watched. Someone among us wishes to learn of our operations and report back to their masters. We cannot not allow that. Cobra Commander is looking straight at the imposter Clutch Viper. At that moment, one of the Cobra scientists attacks the Commander with a strangely shaped dagger, but the Commander easily subdues him, crushing his jaw with a resounding crunch. The imposter scientist screams out, Cobra La! After Cobra Commander defeated Nemesis Enforcer in Cobra Commander 4, Galabulus ordered another agent to be sent to retrieve the Commander and bring him back to Cobra La, as revealed in the epilogue of Cobra Commander issue 5. The assassin attempts to flee. Destro remarks, he only seemed to target you, Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander replies, of course, as I am the most valued person here. You truly need to do a better job of vetting the scientists you recruit. As the assassin's face begins to fall away, it reveals a reptilian visage. Unfazed, Cobra Commander drags the spy to an opening in the middle of the facility. Leaning in close, he whispers a taunt. Galabulus sent you here to die. Then with a swift motion, he throws Cobra La agent into a pit filled with robotic serpents, which devour the spy within moments. Cobra Commander turns to the onlookers and declares, let this be a lesson to everyone here. Do not underestimate me. me. Shifting focus, Cobra Commander addresses the mission. Destro informs him Mercer and his men are deploying soon. Cobra Commander waves him off, replying, "Don't bother. I've already sent allies to complete the mission before anyone finds out." With everyone distracted, Clutch seizes the opportunity and quietly slips away. Meanwhile, in the pit, Duke and Risk continue their heated brawl, trading blow after blow and shot after shot. Baroness, observing the fight, is surprised at Colonel Hawk's willingness to let it continue. "So you consider this team building?" she asks sarcastically. Colonel Hawk shrugs, replying, "I figured they should get it out of their systems now." As the fight intensifies, Risk attempts to lock Duke in an armbar, clearly demonstrating his expertise in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Duke, determined not to give in, fights to block the move. Duke throws Risk across the room and shouts, "Stand down. You're not on my team." Risk, slipping on his electric brass knuckles, smirks and retorts, "Are you even sure this is your team? Boy Scout, your last mission was a total failure. Maybe the Joes need a new leader." There's also a possibility that Risk knows something about a second G.I. Joe team involving Flint, introduced in Energon Universe Special 2024. Thankfully, the fight is interrupted by Stalker, who hurls a knife that lands perfectly between the two combatants. Stalker ridicules them for engaging in such a petty squabble, saying, "You should be ashamed of yourselves. One of us is dead, another is missing, and you're busy with a bleeping measuring contest." Duke tries to justify himself, saying, "Stalker, this guy insulted." Stalker cuts him off sharply. "I don't care. This is some amateur garbage right now. Be men, shake hands. Damn it." Duke and Risk, ashamed, looks before reluctantly shaking hands. Stalker sighs and says, "Look at that. Everybody's friends again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to call Rock and Roll's family. Get your bleeping act together as soon as possible, or we're going to lose in more ways than one." Duke, Baroness, Risk, and Colonel Hawk stand around the Energon laser gun that was confiscated, examining its remains. However, they know Cobra Commander had set a booby trap, causing all the guns to explode. Duke says, "Okay, we weren't able to retrieve much from the lab after the explosion, but we've got parts of these guns. They blew them up rather than letting us get our hands on a working one." Baroness nods and replies, "It's exactly what I would have done as well." Risk chimes in, "You said they fired lasers of this size. That kind of firepower and that energy source must be out of this world." Duke adds, "The big guy who led the attack works with Destro." Baroness counters, "But I thought Destro's Mars Industry was also attacked." Baroness references the attack on Mars Industries by Cobra from Cobra Commander issue 5. Duke concludes, "We're dealing with a new player in this." He holds up a symbol of Cobra. At the moment, CoverGirl rushes into the room. "Sorry to interrupt," she says, catching her breath. "A message just came over the secure line. It's garbled and we couldn't track its origin, but you'll want to hear this." A video transmission from Clutch comes through, revealing Cobra's plans for Dr. Monev. With Monev just 6 hours away from his congressional appearance, the Joes must act quickly to intercept him before Cobra can make their move. The G.I. Joes now have their second mission, to secure Dr. Monev before Cobra does. Duke declares, "Joes, you heard him. We need to move fast. Get the jet fired up." In Washington, D.C., Dr. Monev rides with his security detail en route to the Capitol. Conversing with one of the guards, Monev asks, "Are these precautions really necessary?" The security detail responds, "Dr. Monev, this is not a vacation. Our orders are to keep you safe and secure, and that's exactly what we're doing today." Monev replies, "What you and your small-minded authorities fail to understand is that my brainwave scanner is the future. It will help us better understand the human mind." The security guard counters, "You mean to control someone's mind, to reprogram people and turn them into slaves. Isn't that right, Dr. Venom?" Angrily, Monev says, "I despise that insulting nickname. The press thought was so clever. These are people who would kill for my brainwave scanner." Just then, Monev notices something unsettling. Realizing they're not headed towards Congress, he exclaims, "Wait a moment. This isn't the way to the Capitol." The guard then reveals they aren't taking him to Congress. He's going to be coming with them. Monev asks who they are, only to be interrupted by the car attacked by Duke, Baroness, and Risk. They crash through the glass and release gas into the vehicle. Dr. Monev panics, thinking these attackers want to kill him, and resolves not to die like this. Suddenly, Duke says, "Not so fast, Doctor." Duke says, "We're here to save you," with a gun pointed rocket at his head as Risk and Baroness drop in from parachutes. Duke adds, "We're your new ride, Dr. Monev." Dr. Monev replies, "Do I have a choice?" The Cobra security guard gets up and says, "You should choose Cobra. As for you, Joes, prepare to die," revealing an emblem of Cobra on his uniform. He is also a Crimson Guard. Risk immediately kicks him in the face, knocking him out. Duke says, "They don't look like Cobra soldiers who attacked the lab." Risk responds, "That's because they're Crimson Guard, Cobra sleeper agents. They could be anyone." Baroness adds, "I hate to admit it, but Risk is right. We need to move now. I've heard of the Crimson Guard as well. If they've been activated, their bosses can't be far behind." The team jumps on their motorcycles, including the iconic G.I. Joe Ram motorcycles, making its Energon Universe debut in this issue. Suddenly, Energon lasers rain down from above just as the Joes start their escape. Risk says, "You had to jinx us, Baroness. Now we've got to deal with Tomax and Xamot, the Crimson Twins." The Crimson Twins unleash a barrage of laser fire from Cobra's Stinger, relentlessly pursuing the Joes. The Crimson Twins and the Crimson Guard made their Energon Universe debut in the Destro miniseries. In that series, the Crimson Twins were portrayed as business rivals to Destro before being recruited by Cobra. However, it is also depicted that Crimson Guard as Tomax and Xamot's personal army rather than elite sleeper agents. The idea that Crimson Guards are Cobra sleeper agents who could be anywhere in society dates back to the original profile card and Marvel comic depiction. Get ready for an intense game of tag between the Crimson Twins, the G.I. Joes, with Dr. Money being it. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, G.I. Joe issue 4 in the Energon Universe is next.